Thank you to Michael Proctor and to the Kootenai Conservation Partnership for the invitation to present at this Conservation Action Forum. I wanted to begin by introducing myself. My name is Michael Sawaya. I'm a carnivore ecologist with Sinopah Wildlife Research Associates in Missoula, Montana. My research is really focused on 4 primary species: black bears, cougars, grizzly bears, and wolverines. A lot of the work I do involves the use of non-invasive genetic sampling to understand population demography and genetics of different carnivore populations. And specifically, I look at how roads and fragmentation affect population connectivity. And I also am interested in how wildlife crossing structures can potentially mitigate the fragmentation effects of roads. Today I'm going to be talking about Trans-Canada Highway mitigation recommendations, and these recommendations were basically presented in 3 different reports. These are reports that spanned, the first report spanned from Mount Revelstoke to Glacier National Parks in 2014. The second report focused on Yoho National Park in 2017. And the third report, which we completed last year, spanned the whole area from Golden to Revelstoke. I wanted to acknowledge my co-authors because I did not do this work in isolation by any means. I wanted to acknowledge Tony Clevenger, Aaron Langeth, Ben Dorsey, and Richard Klafke for their many contributions. So next, I'm going to just quickly describe how we identified and prioritized what we call mitigation emphasis sites. The first thing that we looked at was road mortality data or animal vehicle collision data. The second thing that we looked at to supplement the mortality data was to look at regional connectivity. And to do this, we created landscape resistance models for 4 different species: black bears, grizzly bears, wolverines, and moose. And so we overlaid those connectivity maps on the landscape so that we could see how the connectivity paths align with the road mortality data. In addition to those 2 criteria, we also evaluated the local connectivity values for each different site, the constructability of each site, because that actually dictates where a lot of these wildlife crossing structures can go, even more than connectivity or mortality hotspots. If you can't build it, then it's not a feasible mitigation. And then we also looked at human influence and how that affects each site. And so we evaluated all of these criteria, and we basically averaged the scores and picked the top sites, which were above the average, to select our areas for mitigation emphasis. This is a map showing 2 of the reports, the study area for 2 of the reports combined. If you look at this, the red area over on the left, that is area A of the last report. The blue area in the middle is all of the report that was contained in the Mount Revelstoke Glacier study. And then the green area and the yellow areas were part of the last Golden report as well. So in all, we selected 51 sites over this span of highway between Revelstoke and Glacier. And of those, 22 of them were high priority sites. So when we break out just the last report, we see that we had 27 sites that we identified for mitigation. And within that, there were 14 of those that were higher priority. Those are shown in red. So I just wanted to conclude by giving my top recommendations for this work. There was a lot of findings in terms of where to put these crossings, when to put them, and how to place them. I just wanted to kind of briefly summarize those findings here as my top recommendations. The first one is to construct a system of strategically placed and species appropriate wildlife crossing structures and fencing on the Trans-Canada Highway to reduce wildlife vehicle collisions and increase demographic and genetic connectivity. The second recommendation is to prioritize highway mitigation for key fragmentation sensitive species such as grizzly bears and wolverines and other wildlife along the TCH in the high elevation mountain passes and the low elevation valley bottoms. The third recommendation is to identify low-cost highway mitigations associated with existing below-grade passages such as bridges and culverts in riparian corridors. I call this the low-hanging fruit. Really, this is identifying areas that are easily retrofitted, such as bridges that could be expanded, or other types of culverts and things that can be easily retrofitted in the existing grade. The fourth recommendation is to pilot and implement measures to reduce mountain goat and bighorn sheep attraction to roads throughout the Columbia Mountains using a collaborative, interagency, and interjurisdictional approach.